Well, rough one. USC gets his first loss of the season. We thought we'd take this bye-week break to take a look at the pro. Thought we would be, and where we are. So all that.
Tim went rogue there, but I think he's back.
Yeah. No, I think so.
Froze during your intro, but I think you're good now.
Yeah, no, I think I have to go. I think Phil's back in, I think. So give me a minute. You guys go ahead and start without me because I got to go fix my internet real fast. Oh, always great.
Well, good. Well, yeah, go do that. All good. Madman, what's going on?
Doing well, Rye. How you doing, man? Great to see you. I missed you guys on the live recap there on Saturday. Lots of family stuff. My daughter turned 1 over the weekend, so it was her first birthday. So lots going on with the family, as you know. Lots going on with the family time. So it was a special few days on the personal front.
You know, we need things like that, and fans need that because it puts life into perspective when your football team loses. The sky is not falling. Like, so you get to celebrate with your family, your daughter turning 1. USC losing by 2 to Illinois probably really didn't feel that big of a deal.
No, absolutely. I was joking with some folks. I said, it's going to be really hard to not have me in a great mood over the course of these next few days, and I said, SC's trying. They're trying their best, but, no, nothing could ruin this weekend. It was a very, very special time for me and my wife.
Obviously, I know you have, obviously, since then. Were you able to watch the game on Saturday live, or did you kind of watch it after?
No, I watched it live. Yeah.
Okay, so they definitely tried to dampen the party then, for sure.
Fortunately, the party was the party started at 3:00, so it was one of those where we were doing a lot of party prep. So I was watching and taking care of the baby and all of that stuff, and then I rewatched it after the party. Way too late at night. So
there you go. Tim, your Wi-Fi's feeling better?
Well, no, this new internet, and I just not feeling the Wi-Fi, so I decided to go old-fashioned and hardwired. It just took me a second to go plug it in. So
I feel like hardwired.
We should be good to go now
for like 3 months, but that's good. It works.
Yeah, it's always good to have internet when you go live, right? Well, you guys, so tough loss. One of the things I was joking about it on our podcast. I made the mistake of saying that the defense was the carry of this team this year. I said offense might struggle. This is in the offseason, guys, so don't give me too hard of a time. But I thought that it would take a little bit of time for the offensive line to gel a little bit. Jaden to just get rolling like he did from the very beginning. He was hot and ready to go. But I thought it might take just a couple of games. The USC get warmed up, ramped up. But the defense would carry us early and carry us into the season and get us over any humps. But I have to tell you, my confidence has been shaken a bit. We've seen the issues in the secondary up against inferior competition. And then you go up against a quarterback like Luke Altmaier, who I think is insanely underrated. And he just kind of exposed. They ran that RPO to perfection, got the ball out of his hands as quick as possible. I think his time to pass was like 2.2, getting that ball out quick. So if you look at that nationally, if obviously we extrapolate it to the whole season, that would put him at number 2 in the country, getting the ball out that fast. So just so you guys understand those numbers, it wasn't just a little bit fast. It was really fast. So I'm kind of dialing back the panic on the pass rush because, how do you get there in a little over 2 seconds? But what is more worrisome is our inability to continue to just not get leverage, not be able to handle those slants, just crazy stuff, interior on the line with the run game, not getting off blocks, and on the outside on that one long swing play, not getting off those blocks. You can't allow these short little plays. And Lincoln Riley talked about it in the press conference. You can't allow these little plays to sting you for 60, 70 yards. That's going to kill you every time, Jamal.
Yeah, no, Tim, I think you said it really well there. And it's ironic, some of the things that you were saying. Ryan, I remember on the pregame show that we had last week, I said that one of the keys to this game is going to be Illinois is going to get the ball out really quick, considering where their offensive line was the last couple of weeks, right? They gave up the 7 sacks to Indiana, the 4 sacks to Duke, really struggled from a line of scrimmage perspective. And so you knew they were going to get the ball out quickly. And I think what was so interesting here is this was just a very methodical 502 yards of offense. Like if you looked up, no one necessarily had a career day the way, they would in the Grinch days. We would joke in the Grinch days, well, who's going to have a career day? Which receiver is going to go for 10 for 200 and 3 touchdowns? Which running back is going to go for 30 carries or 220 yards and 3 touchdowns? This was a very methodical sort of set of plays and scheme by Illinois moving the ball forward. And that combined with, look, the two things that I think were known defensively, Tim, for USC is one, this secondary was below average over the first four games. And we also knew that Eric Gentry is one of the best players in the country. Now, the unknown, to a certain extent, the variable was we expected the front four to be really good in this game, given the flashes that they showed in the first 4 weeks. And I think the concern right now is the fact that they couldn't get home to the quarterback, even though he was getting the ball out super quick, but they just couldn't disrupt enough plays. And Illinois essentially was 2 plays from having 8 scoring drives in this game, right? I mean, 4 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and 2 fumbles right at the goal line. That's, I think, where the concern is right now. And I think if I had to grade the defensive performance against Illinois, it was probably a D+. And I think the offense played very valiantly. There were mistakes, there were turnovers, obviously the trick play that was for naught given the illegal man downfield, but Maiava competed like heck. I thought, the seam route was there. Some of those balls that he had to Lemon in terms of popping it over the linebackers and the corners right below, before the safeties. I mean, just peppering those balls in. He's got such a lovely touch really in the middle of the field. Some remarkable throws there. I thought offensively was a B+ effort. I mean, it was good enough to win, but like we talked about, right, is outside of Oregon and Notre Dame, it was going to take a B- or below level to get clipped. They were B+ on offense. They were D+ on defense. That's about a C+, and they got clipped.
Yeah. But you're Ryan. What'd you think? The defense didn't happen. I agree with Jamal. I mean, the offense, you had the fumble and you had the interception, but then you had 1 punt in the entire game, and they finished out the game with those 3 touchdowns, clutch. It's something about Maiava, man, and it just seems like he turns it up towards the ends of games, and that's a good sign. When your quarterback is. I mean, he was hot the whole game, really. He just had that spell in the third quarter where it was kind of some question marks. But seeing them go touchdown at the end of that game is a good sign, Ryan.
Yeah, we talked about it after the game, so we don't need to spend a ton of time on it. But really, I thought the offense played really, really well. I mean, it wasn't a perfect game, but you don't expect that. You just expect a good performance, and 32 points is a pretty good performance. I think at that, when they got the fumble at the end of the half, even to go down, I know there was talk about the whatever play call or the long developing play at the goal line, so they had to settle for 3 points. But I mean, they went down there in 45 seconds at the end of the half. So I mean, that was it from the 20-yard line. So I mean, that was another impressive drive, and obviously what they did then in the fourth quarter. So something special, absolutely, with Jade Maiava and Mekhi Lemon, and when Jacoby Lane's back fully healthy, and then we'll see, as Tanook Hines continues to develop. And then after that, really want to see, I won't really talk much about the defense. I think you hit it all, Jamal, so I don't really need to. Obviously, a lot of concerns there that we'll see through the bye week. But after, receiving core, really want to see like the next kind of step up. Obviously, DJ Jordan, I don't think we've seen really much since that fumble in Michigan State. So, he's a true sophomore, so still young, but will he start getting more reps, especially with Jacoby Lane been banged up? Jay Fair, Jaden Richardson, Prince Strawn's been healthy now the 2 weeks. We haven't seen much of him. So just curious kind of what the receiving core will look like. I'm not concerned about it because last year, one of the big issues was too much of a rotation.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't need 7 guys involved. But with Jacoby Lane out, it was just a little curious how there was like nobody after Mekhi Lemon. So, but on the other side, the tight end game was fantastic. And both tight ends, Walker Lyons and, oh man, been a long day. Drawing a blank now on his name, but
Mr. McCree.
Lake McCree, both had fantastic games, going up, saving their quarterback, getting after it, and taking some big shots, no fear at all. So I thought the tight ends looked fantastic, and Mark Bowman's got to be smiling as that top recruit, seeing how these tight ends are getting much more involved. And then finally, the offensive line. I'm really curious now to see Jean-Ray Reed's assimilation into the starting 5. Lincoln Riley said yesterday that Killian O'Connor will miss at least the next 2 games, but they're hopeful he'll be back, which I think is a really good news. It seemed like based on him being on crutches, that was it. He's done for the season. So the fact that he might come back, and again, looking at the schedule, missing 2 games basically means he has 4 weeks. He has a bye this week. They only played 2 games in October. So November 1st, Nebraska is when he could potentially be back in 4 weeks. But John Ray Reed, all of us thought he was the absolute starter when he transferred. He gets beaten out, obviously looked very rusty last week coming in off the bench. So how does his assimilation look within those starting 5? Because I think he has the skill set, he has the leadership, he has the size. Can he become that starting center in this interim in 2 monumental games against Michigan and Notre Dame? So I'll just throw those on there on top of what Jamal said. I don't really need to say much about the defense.
Tim, you mind if I say something real quick, just to add on to that? Ryan, I totally agree with you in terms of, we sometimes forget offensively. I mean, they were down 2 starters, right? I mean, between Elijah Page and Killian O'Connor, Jacoby Lane not there. The fact that this team could still generate the 32 points, I think, is extremely impressive. It really is all about the other side of the ball. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I just want to add, because I didn't get a chance to comment on this over the course of the week, so much of the discussion around the game management of Lincoln Riley at the end of the game. And I personally thought that he managed the game really well at the end of the game. I might very much be in the minority there.
I'm with
you. I think 2 things that he did. One is going for 2 on that first of 2 fourth quarter drives, I thought was really smart, because the analytics plays it out, right? You go for 2 twice, presumably you'll get 1 out of 2, the math says. So you'd be at 14 anyway. But the fact that he got to the 2 on the first of the 2 drives, you put stress on Illinois. You're not up 7, you're only up 6. And that's why when Illinois got the ball back, they were down instead of being tied. So you're putting a whole different level of stress on the defense. So I thought he did that well. Even if he didn't get it, the fact that he was going to go for 2 twice in a row in that sequence, I thought was well done. And I think so much was made about, could USC sort of run the clock down and punch it in right before? I have to be honest, as well as the offense played, there were a lot of ebbs and flows, and that was a game of momentum, particularly offensively. And it wasn't necessarily, even on the previous drive, that USC was just 5 plays, 80 yards in the end zone, barely got the second down. Let's not forget that previous drive, there was a 4th and 3. Maeva did a great job rolling out. He found Lemon in the middle of the field. And then the first touchdown past 11 was on 4th and 7. I mean, there were 2 different instances where it was 1 play from being done. So I don't think SC was in a position where they could just dictate how they scored. Lemon was feeling it. They were on man coverage. There was a heater there. You had to sort of take advantage there, because if you sort of pound the rock, the running game was up and down. They called 2 timeouts. You're on 3rd and long. You're in the red zone. That's another tough area of the field to be able to execute. So I may be in the minority there, but I thought the game management was fine. This was really all about the defense trying to get 1 stop. And I think that's where the concern is right now, is that's a similar theme from the last 2 years.
Yeah, everything you said, I completely agree with, especially the 2-point. The analytics did play out on that and worked, and it did put that pressure on them. USC was running the ball the whole game, was not running it as a whole. Like for the majority of that game, they were running just barely over like the Mendoza line, like 3 yards per carry. It was rough. But they did get up to 3.7 because the last couple of drives you noticed. And what I liked about Riley is the run pass was skewed. However, I think it was because that was it was a factor of the fact that you're down multiple scores in the fourth quarter. You're going to see probably more throws than runs, but they stayed with the run. And when they did run, they ran effectively, because I think that I think Riley's learning. We do have a bigger line now. We're leaning on that defensive line on the other side of the scrimmage, and they're tiring out late in the game. I agree with you. You got man coverage, and what a great throw by Jaden. What a great, I mean, that's just got NFL written all of both those sides of that. It's got NFL written all over it. But come on, like we shades of the Utah pig farmer game. That's exactly what it was. I mean, seriously, fans, I've been an SC fan my entire life, and even I knew, unless they turn the ball over, the way they are. Well, put it this way, this is their drive chart from the whole game. Ready? Touchdown, fumble on the goal line, half, field goal. Hey, look, the punter came out. Touchdown, fumble on the goal line, field goal to end the game. SC could not stop them. Yeah. You have we're all playing Monday morning quarterback. I know, but my goodness, our defense could not stop Luke Altmaier in that offense, and it was just staring down the barrel. I think Riley played it by the book, did exactly what you should do. You're right about the fact they did struggle in the red zone to not to score, but it wasn't an easy sledding. They're just going to run the ball into the end zone. I totally agree with you on that one. It's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate that the defense just can't get a stop. But we do have a caller. And someone remind me to talk about, I want to talk about Jean-Ray Reed really quick when we get through the call, okay? Hi, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
What's going on, man? My name is Walt out of Los Angeles, California.
Walt from where?
Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles. All right. That's local guy. So what's going on? What are your thoughts?
Oh, man. First and foremost, man, I want to give a big shout out to you guys. I'm a huge, I listen to you guys so freaking much, all the time.
Oh, thank you.
Man, thank you for the work putting in. It doesn't go unnoticed or anything. I'm a huge listener of you guys. And also, I want to give a shout out to our players, our team, our coaches. You know what I'm saying? We got to do better as fans, not you guys in particularly. So, but it's certain fans that just name dropping these kids, that's dropping their name, disrespecting them. You know what I'm saying? We got the number one recruit class coming up. You know, they see this, the parents see this, you know, and these kids see this stuff and they hear certain podcasts of these people dropping and kind of disrespecting them. You know, let's try to keep it positive, man. Let's try to keep it positive. I just did my homework. And Jim, when he was at Michigan, do they know how long it took him to get where he got, to get that team where he got them?
Right.
He had to go through thick and thin. And we got to do it, man. We got to keep fighting on no matter what and be supportive, man. Lincoln Riley said it. We need our fans to support us. You know what I'm saying? If it's one thing I learned from the Big Ten, and the Big Ten got a lot of basketball team schools. You know, I mean, they got Michigan, Ohio State, you know, that Michigan State, you know, a good football programs, but a lot of great basketball programs. Man, and he said it. Their stadiums is rocking.
Yeah.
Purdue, when they barely won one game last year. When we played them, their stadium was rocking. Even last year, they had a bad season, but their stadiums were rocking. We got to do the same thing too, man. Stop getting frustrated, trying to make it about us. You know, Jakeem Stewart and a lot of other players, they barely turned 18, man. They still kids, but they're young men. You know, so who are us to sit up here and place judgment on the coaches and these players? They are ex-professionals, still professional in a sense, but they've been there, done that. Ex-Super Bowl winners. You know what I'm saying? So we got to get thanks to them. You know what I'm saying? They're doing a tremendous job, and I'm sure they're working their tail off, man, to try to fix these things, correct these things. We got players who were sick. We got players who were injured. For us, our roster to be the way it was, to go to Illinois and play them the way we did, man, hey, we did good, but we got to do better.
Well,
we don't have to name drop and say, "Oh, this player's trash."
Well,
he's this.
Well, let me hop in.
Come
Well,
on, man.
Well, you're making good points. Well, but hold on. Let me get in here a little bit. I hear you. I do hear you. But I'm going to ask you a question. You think the players are so I don't like when players are called out and the person calling them out are wrong. Because a lot of time people, even some people in the media, but especially on Twitter, they have no idea, you know, who had that guy in coverage. They get stuff all backwards. But I defend anybody in the media that's going to be critical of a player. We can't just put, because I mean, honestly, I don't think I would read an article. I wouldn't watch a show where, hey, everything's great. You know, we're going to win. It's not our fault. We're a great team. We're a national championship team, blah, blah. And all of our players played great. Would you really tune in for that? I wouldn't tune in. You know, I don't want anyone unfairly attacked. I don't want anyone singled out. But let's face it. I think if you went and talked to the players and you asked them man for man, hey, how'd you do today? You think they're going to tell you they're proud of their performance on the field and follow that up? You think the media should go? Do you think the media should sit there and go, what's that one meme? You know, nothing to see here, sipping coffee, and you know the house is burning down, right? you got to talk about it. This is just conversation. If someone's name calling or they're calling somebody out because they, just unfairly, or it wasn't even their man, they just get the name wrong, they throw it out there. And or my big thing is when people single one person out. If you watch this show long, if you watch me, you'll hear me say things like, I'll do a position group or a player, a player position, but I won't call. I don't really call people, but I do respect the people. I have no problem when someone say, hey, so and so did this person did that, as long as it's not personal, as long as they're not attacking. It's not like they're like always riding one player. Now, you know what? I'm sorry. Even in high school, I remember. You'd get people get on you if you're not doing your job. Everyone knows who's messing up. They know they're messing up. And to sit here, honestly, Walt, I appreciate you watching and I hear your energy. And believe me, I'm a big fan here as well. But sometimes you got to pull back and be objective and realize that, you know what? Sometimes our stuff stinks. Well, and you don't get better if you bury it. And by the way, if there's any recruits out there, their families listening to this guy, go talk to the position coaches. They know a hell of a lot more. And if you're listening to YouTube people to see where you want to go to college, that is not the right strategy. I can tell you that right now. So, but Walt, that was an awesome call, man. Any follow up?
I like what you said as far as the grading the freaking position, the performance versus the character. And I like how you hit it on the head, and that's exactly what I meant. The performance versus the character. Let's not make a video. Well, not you guys, but put something out there. Oh yeah, this person is trash. This person,
name calling. Yeah.
Fans and support are like thick and thin, man.
Yeah.
And I know I done brought up this guy and his team again, but I literally been watching the freaking Michigan Rose Bowl, and they had a good season. And it reminded me not like how they ran things, but of the old school USC, how we pound and how we just, fight and through the thick and thin until Pete Carroll came and boom, we just shot up. We just gotta trust the process, trust our coaches, and just go with it, man. We got a good future, got the number one recruit class, so let's keep it positive. Not you guys in particular, but let's not name drop it and slander and say bad things about our players. And just support them, man. Especially at a time like this. One loss does not define us. One loss does not define the season. I'm already seeing people, oh yeah, this gonna define it. No, it's not, man. We have people sick. We got people injured. We got a lot on our plate, and I still respect our players and our coaches for what we did and how we did it, man. But I'm not gonna take up too much of you guys' time. I appreciate you guys. I'm still going to support you guys, listen to you guys. I love you guys' show, and I'm a huge fan, like I said, man.
I'm a big fan of you, Walt. I like your passion.
Too, man.
I like your passion, Walt.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Walt.
Yes,
You're the man.
All right. Great call. Yeah, great call, Walt. I mean, listen, but I would say, and I'll ask you guys, or Walt, if you're still there, hold on, Walt, if you're still there, what got us a lot of trouble during the Clay Helton years is people weren't holding people accountable. And I heard a lot of the USC fan base like, we can't criticize, we can't do this, we can't do it. And it was like, there were people even in like 2020 still supporting. I mean, I'm not cracking on the man, but there were people in our fan base saying, well, Helton just, he just got to change this and change that. And, we remember back in 2016, we did this and we did that. And, we can't call out players. And I think you nailed it. You can't call people trash. You can't call a student athlete, take a shot at them. You can say, I noticed that so-and-so, had a mental, had a breakdown and got a physical beat. He's whatever, that kind of thing. You got manhandled up front. You got to hold people accountable. You can call players out on that level. They get beat, especially on mental errors. But I just don't think that there's room to call people trash or put them down. And I mean, I'm not aware of anybody in our space doing that. And if they were, I think they should be called out. But I don't. And what are you guys' thoughts on calling out?
No, Tim, I totally agree with you. I mean, I think there's two elements here, and I loved Walt's point of view. Look, I think it's okay to disagree and debate and be passionate as long as you can maintain each other's dignity. And I think sometimes we lose in society. It goes from, hey, Tim has a point of view, Madman has a different point of view, and to have a healthy debate versus it get personal, versus it's attacking character, versus it's attacking someone's, core human being, so how do you debate and dialogue passionately? And it's okay to disagree and it's healthy to disagree, but how do you maintain each other's dignity, number one? And then number two, at a program like USC, that USC football is a blue blood. There's no question about it. You have to have that balance between positivity and accountability, because at the end of the day, the aspirations of this program and this brand of USC football are much greater than what we have seen the last few years, and much greater than you could argue we have seen in the last 15 years. For USC to maximize who they truly are, it is about competing for national championships. It is about being close to having perfect seasons, 1-loss seasons, 2-loss seasons, being in the mix at the very end. There's other programs where the ceiling is 8-4, where the ceiling is 9-4, where the ceiling is 7-5. And so you're going to lean more positive there. But at a place like USC, you have to sort of balance the positivity with the accountability. There's an $11 million coach. There's a $2.5 million defensive coordinator. And they probably didn't earn their paycheck on Saturday.
Ryan, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know if Walt's still on, but thanks for the call. It's awesome. Love hearing all you guys' support. But no, I mean, the way I took it is what he was saying is exactly what I've always thought. Like there's a difference between critiquing and being critical and degrading. And, you can critique and you can passionately critique. And I think that's what we do here at USC LAFB. I'm not even going to speak for any other podcasters or content creators. But I think we always try to keep it, on the critique football base, which I think is, the purpose, right? Like, otherwise, what the hell are we doing? Like that, there's no point to doing this if we're just going to fanboy out and whatnot, but obviously keep it on a positive kind of slide a little bit here and there and critique in the right way and not degrade. And I think what Walt was saying is, after that loss, the fan base, at least on Twitter, it did get pretty degrading. So I think that's more what he was referring to, and which is why it's very good for a lot of people just to stay off social media and live in the real world.
At least for a couple hours.
Yeah, because there was a lot of stuff where I was like, oh man, what are guys doing?
A latte or a tea or whatever you do, or a bourbon, whatever you need to get through the evening, yelling at kids, it's just a bad look no matter what you do on that one. But at the same time, we can't walk around if that performance starts saying, "How do you do? I think we just won the national championship." We can pump all day long, but I'll tell you what, I lived through, there was a lot of that when we were losing before Riley got here. Even into that final season, people early on had the dream that we're pulling all together somehow, And
well, Tim, I remember, I'm sure you remember too, Jamal, like how bad the Clay Helton years were, and then he landed Corey Foreman, the number 1 recruit, and it was kind of like, oh, are we back? Like, is he going to turn this thing around? I don't know that, because he was a late spring recruit or commit, and that was like same thing. What you're saying, Tim, it got that kind of like false hope at the very end.
Yeah, the can't miss guys that the message boards would freak out at. When I remember saying that's a fireable offense. If you don't get Corey Foreman, legendary player Corey Foreman, you should fire the coach. Now, they should have fired the coach at that point, but it wasn't because of Corey Foreman. Hi, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey guys, this is Josh from Dana Point.
Josh, how you doing?
Point.
I'm good, guys. Enjoying listening to your show. Just had a quick question on your thoughts on this narrative. It often gets, we see it on Twitter, we see it outside of Twitter, that SC is just not tough enough for the Big Ten. I think it was the Illinois O-line coach even made a comment post-game about how they dominated us on the line of scrimmage. I think we see similar sentiments when we play teams like Notre Dame in the past as well. And then just quick follow-up is, do you get the sense that there's a sense of urgency around the program heading into this big stretch of games?
In a word, yes. Go ahead, Jamal.
No, I mean, it's a great question. Look, I don't know if I think the narrative, narratives sometimes take on a life of their own, and whether they're fair or unfair, I think it's about this program overcoming that, and I think one of the things that has left I think, some concern moving forward is, because there's so much conversation around, is this just 2023 and 2024 all over again? Is this, Lincoln Riley just can't get it figured out? Or is this Danton Lynn maybe isn't as good as we thought he was? Maybe there were some really good players that he had a couple years ago. And, all of these conversations, to me, it ultimately comes down to how do you respond from here? Because look, the emptiness that we felt in 2023 and 2024 wasn't just the record, it was the how, right? That, 2023, you start 6-0 and then you lose 5 out of 6. And then in 2024, you start 3-0 and you lose 5 out of 7. And so to me, when you lose one game in the fashion that you have, like in Illinois, one game, you can point to scheme. You can point to a coordinator. You can point to a position group. It can become very tactical. But when it's a losing streak, that is more about the head coach and the culture and what the philosophy of the team is to be able to rebound and bounce back. And so to me, this is a moment for Lincoln Riley. I believe these next 10 days are probably the most important 10 days of Lincoln Riley's career at USC. And this Michigan game is probably the most important game for Lincoln Riley at USC, because if you can bounce back and win that game, you're still on a trajectory to improve. And whether improvement looks like 9-3, and then you get the number 1 recruiting class and the dominoes start falling, you're on that trajectory. If you lose the game to Michigan, you're headed for an 8-4 world, perhaps even 7-5, more, 8-4, 7-5, but with a schedule that the baseline, if you look at this schedule this year, Missouri State, Georgia Southern, UCLA, Northwestern, Iowa, Purdue, Michigan State at home, those are 7 gimmies. I mean, the floor on this season is 7-5. So if you're going to go 8-4 in a year where the floor was 7-5 for a third consecutive year, you underachieved, that's deeply problematic. And the narrative is going to continue to take on a life of its own. So to me, this is all about responding. I think they're going to be locked in. This is a bye week. And I think they're going to huddle up as a coaching staff, as players. It's going to be a pride game against Michigan, very similar to what we just saw with Illinois. Illinois got blasted by 53 on the road at Indiana, didn't have sort of the luxury for time off, had to sort of galvanize over the course of a week, and then responded the way they did. So we're just looking for that response in 2 weeks, and I believe they will. I believe they're going to respond, and I think the requisite urgency is there. But this is a pivotal moment in my mind for Lincoln Riley during his tenure at USC to dispel that narrative moving forward.
Yeah, I know Tim, I think, is having some technical issues. I don't know if, I'm assuming the caller obviously is not on the line with him not here, but
that's a good point, right?
Yeah. But we'll talk on that anyway. Like this,
sure.
This phrase "soft" bothers me. I'll be honest. I think it's a very overused phrase. Now, in this Illinois game specifically, Madman, like, yes, they got pushed around, obviously. Like, let's not deny that. Like, they looked like the softer team. Part of that is just a fact that Danton Lynn system is just, it's a soft zone, right? He plays a lot of soft zone, like it's in the term. But I've seen this a lot. And so I'm not trying to call this guy out. Sad Boys Club USA. Obviously, you're not on the phone or anything, but comment again if you can. But he's saying the no contact practices are definitely not smart in trying to create a tough, gritty football team. I think that's half the reason our DBs seem timid in game. I'm really curious. I've seen this from a few people, where people are hearing this, because they're not no contact practices. So I'm just curious if there's someone that's spreading rumors, if there is maybe a booster that's been in that said that. I've seen that from a few different people, and I don't know where that's been. Like, I've been at practice, obviously not once the season started.
I think they mean, Ryan, during the season, they're doing a lot of thudding, and, instead of like the full tackle to the ground kind of thing. I think that's what he's referring to.
But how does he even know that? Because I've heard differently.
Okay.
Why do you think guys are getting injured at practice?
Yeah, no, I'm
not saying at you. I'm not saying at you. I
was trying to guess. I got here late. I missed a little bit of what was going on, and I popped in. And then also, just really quick, Sorry about that. Yeah, I had an audio issue. I had to reset it, but who was it? Josh from Dana Point. If you can call back in. Sorry, we dropped your call, but we do have another call. Yeah, I can't really speak to that much because we don't get in for the practice. But I think during the season, I think a lot of schools, Jamal, correct me if I'm wrong, you go to thudding instead of actual hitting and stuff like that, because
Absolutely.
you get into the grind of the season, you're gonna need to rest those bodies up.
Totally. I mean, Tim, you recall back in the Pete days, one of the few, if any, criticisms were practices were too hard, right? I mean, we were getting too injured, over the course of the season. And so, there's a delicate balance there for sure. Ryan, I agree with you. It's soft is not the right term. It's not the appropriate term. I just think that what we saw on Saturday, what we've seen in years past, is just a team that sort of wears down defensively. And so how do we fix that? And you sort of fix that, in training and development in the weight room. And you also fix that through scheme and situational football. So I totally agree with you. So again, it kind of goes back to that earlier conversation. Soft is more an attack on a person, right? Than it is about scheme and tactics.
Well, I think it's
just
true. I think it's just
Jermaine Carroll came in late. It's going to take a little bit longer to get that culture. You bring in a new strength coach. They want to rehaul everything from Eddie Wiley. That's going to take a little bit of time. It doesn't just happen in like a portion of an off season. But if you were there during spring practice, nobody in this chat would be calling any of these young men soft, because those pads were popping. When we're outside waiting to come in at the end of practice to do the press scrum, you could hear those pads popping, Ryan. I mean, it's not like they're playing, patty cake inside. So I don't know where all that stuff comes. I mean,
well, that's all I was trying to say. Like,
too, right? I mean, I'm trying to remember. There's rules about how often you can hit. I mean, there's certain. It's not like there's NCAA rules that go along with a lot of this stuff, but it's common. I mean, it's not like everyone's just going crazy and doing Oklahoma drills and then going into the full team smacking each other around and try to practice for an entire season. You wouldn't have any players at the end of the year. So, I mean, there is a balance, and I'm pretty sure that Lincoln Riley is making sure that balance is clean. Am I there? I don't know, but from what we've seen, they're hitting each other pretty good when they can.
Yeah, and that's all. I just think you see, and exactly what he said. Thanks for coming back. Appreciate you. Again, not calling out. Just I've seen that a lot, and he said I see it a lot online, and the practices they upload are a lot of thudding. So I just think that I don't want to say it's by any means a dangerous thing, but when the whole narrative is you don't hit in practice, then it creates this perception of like this softness and calling players soft when it's just not totally true. So, I mean, we were at that fall practice. I've been to a lot of NFL practices. I mean, it's basically singing Kumbaya and playing patty cake compared to what we saw at the USC practices. So
really quickly, also, we were going to Ryan. So first off, thank you to everybody on Twitter. But we have like well over 500 people here. Unfortunately, we're trying to do a YouTube show, and it's getting to the point where most of them are on my Twitter account. And I'd offer this up to you guys. We're going to close down the Twitter. If you guys want to come over and finish the show with us, that'd be great. If not, thanks for tuning in. But we got to do something to push some more stuff towards the YouTube channel, because this is what we're trying to build, is the channel, not my Twitter account. So if you guys are over there, the links in my Twitter account where you found this video right here, go ahead and come join us over on Twitter. But we're going to close down those Twitter accounts right now. Also, if you've been here this long, I'm sure you're enjoying the show. We appreciate you. The best way you can help this channel grow is if you guys are subscribing and hitting the like button. And I guess you can't do that from Twitter. So that's another reason why I wish you guys were over here. Again, thank you. Appreciate all the comments and all the people watching. But we're going to slowly go over to more of a YouTube channel going forward. Caller, sorry. Hi, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Kyle from California. How you doing?
Kyle, great. Thank you for calling in. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I didn't call last week, but the week before. How you guys doing, Ryan, Jamal, Tim? Yeah, you guys are all cool. Anyway, Tim, you brought up weeks ago that the corner room, you're kind of suspect of it because, obviously we have younger player there, and it's shaky a little bit, but we all kind of understand at this point, so I'm not going to bring up anything about that.
But what I wanted to say is, how did 3 of our pass rushers that are exceptionally talented go against the weakest offensive line, and they all, by chance, all had a weak week and they didn't win their one-on-ones? That's a little suspect to me, because what I've heard is a lot more players were sick than what Lincoln Riley actually mentioned, because we're not a national media team. We're not in the top 15. So no one's going to buy that excuse. No one's going to listen to what he has to say when he's going to excuse his team for being sick. Now, if you were a top 12, 15, 10 team, you'd be able to say, yeah, a lot of our players got sick. And then people would say, okay, we understand. It happens. But for that to be at USC and they're rising right now, and then that happens, it's just all kind of suspicious. It's so suspicious. I'm not going to buy the whole, oh yeah, only a couple players were sick. I'm not buying it. I just know what our players are and the talent we have, and we went against a weak offensive line, and they didn't all figure it out in half a week of preparation. It didn't happen. I can't buy that. So that's what's on my mind. You guys can take it or leave it, but playing sports, you don't all of a sudden just fall off the map when you're like top the country in the sacks, top sacks in the country, and all of a sudden, you just fall off the cliff. I'm not buying it. So I'm a little mad, but getting over it still.
Yeah. So all I would add to that is there have been a couple people I've talked to that aren't that aren't players, that aren't parents, that aren't coaches, but one of these guys has contacts, believe me. And why would they, like, if they got sick, they're going to say they got sick. They're not going to lie, if their players weren't sick. And it was pretty much squashed by the head coach. I don't know how else to say that to you. Also, the thing is that they got the ball out quick. We kind of covered that at the very beginning. USC's issue, and there's a thing called the Big Ten called holding. It's called blocking in the Big Ten. But if you watch, they're grabbing on. There was an early play. Eric Gentry is trying to get outside to make the tackle. Now he was probably sucked it a little too far to begin with. But Eric's trying to get out there, and the guy's grabbing him. There was a play along the sidelines with one of our defensive backs. His shoulder pad was popping out because the guy grabbed his jersey or his short, and he's complaining to the refs. They do. He's holding me, and they're not calling it. That was on that one big long run play. I mean, could it be they're all sick? Sure. I'm not going to say for a fact that they weren't, but just why? I guess my question to you and to the panel: why would the coaching staff lie and say no, it's just a couple of guys? Why would they do that?
Yeah, Kyle. I mean, I'll jump in here, and I think it's a really fair sort of point of view. I think there's a lot of things that can be true, right? It doesn't have to be one thing that's true. I think to Tim's point, Illinois got the ball out really quick. I think point number 2, for as good as Crawford and Shelby and Lucas have been over the course of this season, sometimes they lose gap contain. And you sort of saw that on that swing pass, right? I mean, the swing pass there on the edge. I mean, it was 2 guys, 2 blockers, and Fagan ran down the sideline. It was like a 7v7 kind of play call, right? And so if you get the ball out quick and you're struggling on the offensive line and you almost use the lack of gap contain against a pass rush, that's the way you sort of mitigate not being able to win traditionally at the line of scrimmage. And that's what we saw with Illinois. Now, I don't know. I don't sort of have a point of view on how many guys were sick and to what degree, because it would be all pure speculation and it wouldn't be fair on either side of the coin. But what I will say is there's an opportunity, to sort of the earlier question we had, to change that narrative against Michigan, right? Because if you come out and you dominate and you play really well against Michigan, now what happens is the Illinois game is going to be treated more as an anomaly for whatever reason, off game, morning game, road game, sick game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be viewed and treated more as an anomaly. But if you come out and you have a similar performance against Michigan, which is a much more significant team on both sides of the ball from a trenches perspective, now there's something deeper. There's something systemic here. So that's what I would say. I would say, as a fan, kind of focus the energies on this Michigan game, because there's an opportunity to sort of right the wrong moving forward, particularly with the bye.
And slants are going to neutralize your pass rush. Swing passes, screen passes,
Totally.
and then the issues inside. Okay, so how do we get, that was more surprising to me than anything else, is the way that USC was handled in the run game as well. So I mean, I just, you know, I like that, Jamal. It could be both, right? And to what degree? But I do think that I heard, and I do understand that the food poisoning thing did not affect a huge portion of the team, like has been reported by some sources. That's all.
And Tim, to be fair, you know, just to add on, and Ryan, please over to you. But, you know, we've had some concerns about the interior of the defensive line really from game one, right? I mean, Jakeem has been awesome. Boucard has been awesome at times. But, you know, we've been talking since week one. These pads aren't like popping in these games. And, you know, you're finding holes in the run game against much lesser opponents. So the interior was still sort of a concern. Even in that Purdue game, all throughout the first 4 games of the season, where we were getting more and more excited, obviously the flash of brilliance from Jakeem, but also what we were seeing from the edge. And so if the edge is losing contain and, you know, it's feeding into the hands of the Illinois playbook, and you're still able to sort of run that zone concept in between the tackles, that's been a struggle for USC all year.
And if these explosives just happened in just this game, then we go, okay, maybe the guys are sick. But was it just the defensive players who were sick? Because the offensive players were playing lights out. And the struggles that we saw on Saturday were eerily similar. It's just, I think that the team that we were playing, and again, Luke Altmaier is a good quarterback, and he's going to make you pay. And we saw some issues. I mean, USC gave up way too many points to Michigan State. I mean, if that wasn't a red flag for you, I don't know what started it, but I expect this defense to bounce back. I think they're better than this. As much as we don't want to make it about a 9 o'clock body clock start, it was a 9 o'clock a.m. start. Oregon had issues getting started, but just seemed like it wasn't just the first half. It was like the entire game. It just seemed like the defense was a bit off. So, I mean, who knows? Who knows? But it's not good enough. If they don't get better over the next 2 games, it's got to get ugly. Anything else for us?
Yeah, I mean, if they go out and have 6 sacks against Michigan, my question would be to you guys, then what? Then what do you think about the last game?
I'll you know what? I'll have forgotten about it. Be happy that we got 6 sacks. If we get 6 sacks and get ahead of a young freshman quarterback, I think our odds are very good at home. And then, you know, it's like the old cornerback conversation. You're always, you know, you can't look back at your last play. You got to move forward. You can't look back at that game. Whatever happened in that game is irrelevant now. You know, they're gonna have to get better and going forward. And I like what Jamal said. It's probably a lot of things. I'll leave it at that. Great call.
Kyle,
So
I
much.
think we would be a great call, and we'd be thrilled with a 6-sack performance against Michigan. And
all right, Kevin,
they responded.
Next caller.
And
we got them rolling,
forward.
guys. We got them rolling. Hi, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Caller, you there?
What's going on, man? This is Chris.
Chris, how you doing? Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, what's going on? What's going on, Ryan? What's going on, man? Long time.
Great to see you. Great to hear your voice, Chris.
Yeah, man. What I was gonna say is that I'm not in panic mode yet, but I'm definitely concerned, and I've been concerned since game 1. And we focused on the defensive backfield, but I've been focusing on Big Ten play and our struggles against the run. And it's been very glaring since game 1. While we have held teams to under 100 yards and things of that nature, that's due to sacks because the offense has been up and our pass rushers have been able to unleash and take off their yardage. But going into the Illinois game, we were giving up on 42% of our opponent's runs. On 42% of the run attempts, we were giving up 4 yards or more. After the Illinois game, that number is all the way up to 49%. So half the time that you run the ball against us, you're getting 4 yards or more. And that's scary going into Big Ten play. And as schematically wise I am and football knowledge wise I am, I've been thinking about it. And it's like, I don't know
how you fix linemen getting blown off the ball 4 yards. Right? Like, that's not a scheme thing. That's like, I don't know if there's an answer for it. And I'm glad Madman is on, because last year he talked about this in week 3, about our defense. Like, we're seeing very similar to last year, where no matter how bad the offense played last year, we still had a lead. And the last possessions of games, our defense were giving up scores. Same thing this year. And everybody was at Madman's neck when he broke it down and said, I don't see much more different in this defense. The game is shorter. Teams are getting lesser possessions, but they're still giving up, the same amount of points. He was saying he didn't see a big difference. And I'm not seeing that difference yet. I'm not panicking till after the Michigan game, because at least we can get back to getting some negative plays to offset giving up 4 yards or more and 50% of carries. But I am concerned.
Yeah. Some of those were some combo blocks. When I rewatched it, it's not just head to head getting thrown back 5 yards, but still, overall, it seemed like at the line and outside, it just seemed like USC was getting out physical. I didn't see a lot of earlier this season. You were seeing those guys, stack and shed and then bam, make the tackle in the hole. And it was great. It was textbook. In this game, it just seemed like the line was getting knocked back. It did seem like they couldn't get off their blocks. And if you can't get off your blocks, it's gonna be a fun time for the running back. So it was disappointing. It definitely was disappointing.
Yeah, Chris, great point. And, great to hear, you again. And, thanks so much for supporting the show for so many years. And, so grateful to you for calling in. I think it's spot on what you said. And I think here's the catch-22 a little bit, right? Where, to Tim's point, there's combo blocks, there's things that the offense is doing to sort of avoid 1v1 situations. But even 1v1 situations, we're sort of getting blown off the ball more often than not. The problem is traditionally how you would fix that if there's sort of a deficiency on the line is you stack the box. But the problem with stacking the box is how bad the secondary is.
Right.
And so, you can stack the box when you've got confidence on the back end that you got, 2 shutdown corners on the outside, or you've got half the field kind of taken care of with certain elements of your secondary. But with the secondary being as shaky as it is, I mean, the play that I'm reminded of is, if you try and stack the box, think about that first play of the fourth quarter when Illinois got that 25-yard touchdown to make it 31-17. I mean, that was an inside slant. There was nobody within 20 yards of the receiver. It was a one-on-one situation. He got inside leverage. That could have been a 25-yard touchdown. That could have been a 95-yard touchdown. And so that's the challenge that you're playing, where you need these guys to be able to win their individual matchups because you don't really have the support on the back end. And that's where this matchup with Michigan is so fascinating, right? Because Michigan's going to probably run the ball 50 times in this game. Underwood's a true freshman. He can run it as well. Their passing game is still, I used the term rudimentary a couple of weeks ago, and that's really where they are. So it's going to be sort of a cat and mouse game here of, do you stack the box and do you dare Michigan to be able to throw it, with that secondary, the team that can't really throw versus the team that can't stop the throw, and how do you sort of deal with that? So I think spot on, Chris, and we'll see how it shakes out. But the traditional things that you could do, kind of defensive coordinator 101 stuff, you can't really do here given where the secondary is right now.
Yeah, that's what I said on the other podcast is that there's so many issues on the back end. You're kind of limited to what you can do to help on the line, to, like you said, to stack that box. So that's where they're at, Chris. And you can't play. They need that same slant play that Jamal's talking about. It was a little closer in. They conceded 2 touchdowns, and I don't know. It was like last week or the week before, but almost the same identical, leverage miss, and the guy's inside, and there's no safety help or anything, and the guy just walks in for a touchdown. I mean, you just can't do that.
And as my defensive coordinator in college, like, our main thing was, whatever team we was playing, whatever their strength is, that's what you do your best to take away with, make them beat you with what they don't want to do. If they do, you tip your hat to them, right? So playing in the Big Ten, I mean, and even against Illinois, I was saying, stack the box. You know, if they beat us through the air, which we've seen they can, at least we're in a shootout. I trust our team more. We have the better quarterback, better receivers in the shootout than I do in a game where you can keep us off balance, where we can't stop the run in the pass. So you got to stop something, right? Going against Michigan, they're a run team. They want to run. We have to stack the box. We're going to have to leave those guys on the island and make Underwood, a true freshman, prove that he can beat us in the air. And then if he can, you have to tip your hat to him. But you can't stay on your heels where you can't stop the run or the pass. Saturday, we couldn't stop the run or the pass. And that's ball control. And with our offense, I would rather be in the shootout. Like, we have a better chance of winning in the shootout than playing in the game where we're sitting back and letting you dictate, and you're running for 4 and 5 yards a pop at minimum, and then you're still throwing it over our head and completing passes whenever you want. You know, you got to stack the box. Let's just get in the shootout. That's our best chance to win, right? The offense is going to have to score over 40 every game. Like, I feel like we're back to those days. And make Underwood beat you through the air. Make him prove it from the pocket. Stack the box, stop they run, and see if he can consistently make the right reads. If he can stay accurate. He has some accuracy issues. So that's the formula. That's our best chance. But if we sit back and continue to let them run for 6 and 8 yards and 12 yards on first down, I mean, the defense will never get off the field. The only hope we have is to stack the box, to stop the run, and see if Underwood can beat you, make him prove he can beat you through the air.
Yeah, Underwood's going to be not just good. I think he's going to be a great quarterback. He is not a great quarterback at this point. He's a true freshman. He's under 50. He's like 50 and change percent completion percentage. I think they've got a couple dudes outside that are going to surprise some people on Saturday, but nothing insanely incredible to worry about. The worry is like how we played against Georgia Southern, how we played against Missouri State, how we played against Purdue. You know, Michigan's better. Their passing game's gonna be better than that even with the true freshman quarterback. But that was Altmaier. That was a veteran quarterback, and I'm done now saying it because I'm tired of saying his name. But he's a solid quarterback, and might be one of the better quarterbacks we face all year, really. So they're gonna have their hands full with Michigan. They're gonna have to tighten stuff up. You saw Gabe said they're gonna run boot all the time. They're gonna have to spy him like mad. They're gonna have to keep him contained. That's gonna be the key. Keep him contained, like you said. Make him hurt you with his arm, and then I think USC's got a really good chance to win this game.
Yeah, I love what Blade said in terms of the run and boot, because that's going to be the element there. It's not just having him beat you with his arm, but having him beat you with his arm while he's in the pocket. You know, if he starts rolling out and, you know, again, you lose gap contain because of, you know, you're trying to overcommit and you're trying to do too much. And now he rolls out. Now these start becoming easier throws, right? It's a one option route on the outside, or you got a tight end kind of flaring out in the flat. And then, you know, if you can sort of win through the air in that particular way, now you're sort of off balance defensively. But if he can get into those second and long, third and long situations where he's got to stay in the pocket and be able to deliver a ball down the field, that's where the game's going to be won for USC.
Yeah, against Nebraska, Michigan had 286 yards rushing and 105 yards passing. So that should absolutely be the formula of do everything you can to stop the run. Hopefully you can put Kamari Ramsey back and as a true safety, and you get Ramsey and Bishop back there deep to stop anything from really game breaking. And then you got Marcellus and DeCarlos to really hopefully shut things down, or at least try to. So yeah, you got to put 8 in the box, I think. Absolutely.
And last year, Michigan had like 200 yards in the first half rushing against USC. Dantlin was able to completely shut down Michigan in the second half until that final drive. They didn't have a first down. And really, I don't even want to talk about it, but they busted that big play. It was the only way they're scoring that touchdown late in the game. Yeah, it'll be interesting on both sides. Now, remember, Michigan does not have a bye. They had a bye this week, but they play. Who are they playing this week?
Wisconsin.
So they play Wisconsin at home.
Oh, Wisconsin. Is it maybe at home, or I know it's Wisconsin, but I can't recall now whether
I
it's
hope
on
they
the
Camp
road.
Randall. That'd be good. So then, but we're off. Yes, he's got 2 weeks to get healthy, 2 weeks to game plan, And I do like Danton Lynn having 2 weeks to sort this out with the pieces and get guys healthy, because we haven't seen this defense healthy yet, you guys. We haven't. You know, there's Alex Grant's been back, you know, practicing for a little while now. Now, is he ready to play? Who knows? But it's going, and the way Pierce is playing, it's gonna leave some options for guys. Oh, and then D Riddick, I think you talked about that, Ryan. I mean, the way Riddick's playing, you know, who knows what that could mean for this defense. I just think that they're gonna play with some stuff over the next 2 weeks, because there's clear glaring holes. Everyone's seen the film. It's not just gonna be Michigan. Everyone's gonna be looking at this stuff. So no game's a bye if you got to get out there and play it. I know Wisconsin looks crazy and the countdown on Fickle has started, but yeah.
And what's crazy about it is that Wisconsin has the #1 ranked rush defense right now.
Probably because they can't stop. Probably because they can't stop the passing game of anybody who runs it. When you
They're falling behind by 24 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
But that would mean that other teams are running more on him. So hey, they'll give the blueprint hopefully to USC. Hopefully they'll give the blueprint.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Last thing, and I'll let you guys go. To me, a lot of our defensive struggles as well is just due to, like you said, I mean, we lost Prophet Brown real early. I mean, we losing all type of players, right, that we thought was going to be starters. But if you look at the defense last year, right, and there were still issues and things on defense, but there were a lot of guys on that team, a lot of experience that has been lost. And we're playing a lot of freshmen and sophomore this year and redshirt sophomores, right, due to injuries on the corners. I mean, we have a sophomore linebacker, right? And most of the people who are playing on the line outside of Lucas and Silver, Tompkins is a junior, but everyone else is a sophomore or a true freshman. So it's a lot of inexperience on our defense. If you look at our defense last year, I mean, Mason Cobb and Eastern Mascarenas, they were both on the NFL roster, both the corners as well, our nickelback. I mean, they didn't go first, second, third round, but that's still NFL talent that we had on that defense last year.
Oh,
and now people that are stepping in their positions are very, very young and inexperienced. And so a lot of this stuff comes with the learning curve as well. It's just being young and getting, not having much game experience, and also even still your body catching up to the college level.
Yeah. I mean, Greedy was so sticky last year. I mean, if you had him at nickel, right? And if you had Jalen Smith back at corner, either one of them or both of them, guy, I mean, it would be this defense would be filthy. I mean,
here's
Greedy.
And this is a great point. What he just said is, like, USC lost every single secondary starter but Kamari Ramsey, but they upgraded at the defensive front. So they seem to upgrade the defensive front, but now it's a whole new cast of characters on the secondary. So we're seeing a lot of growing pains. We'll be nice and say that.
But we also remember that this is Bowden's first. Bowden hasn't even been here a year. Let's continue to build this roster. I know people, because of the Helton experience, people don't have a lot of patience, but USC was late to the NIL game and how they were going to, I mean, the money, I guess, was there, but how they were going to hand out the NIL, they're behind everyone else. Everyone else had different rules. USC was playing it really safe with NIL. This roster is not where it needs to be. I think that's pretty clear. I think I was, like every year, fool's gold. There's some great players on this team, but there are definite holes. And injuries have shown that we are a bit thin at some positions. It's not talent. I'm just talking about, like you said, they're young, experience. And I mean, every rep out there for Celis Williams, he's had some really good reps out there. It's not like our young corners are just getting torched every time they're out there. It's really just some of the breakdown plays that are having issues. And I mean, we're all pointing at the corners, but we don't know, exactly. It looks like a couple times been the corners, been a safety one time. I know for sure, but I mean, they're getting better, just like Desmond Stevens. I think that sometimes he's looked a bit spotty, but he's a young player. He's very talented. I mean, we know that he's going to be really good, just like these corners. Braylon Conley and Williams. They just need to get those reps. Unfortunately, time's up, guys. You're at the meat of your schedule now. That ramping up period we talked about was game 1 through 4. From here on out, except for Northwestern and really probably UCLA, you got some tough offenses that you're going to be facing, and then SC's got to get together.
Yeah.
All right, great call.
I mean, well said. The one thing I'll say is,
man, you guys take care.
You too. And
Thanks,
Tim,
brother.
the one thing I'll add to the conversation about, the first half versus the second half against Michigan, because Lynn did a great job kind of shutting things down. Michigan tried to, with Orji last year, really leverage that bubble screen a lot in sort of the second half. They were trying to go really horizontal in the passing game, particularly in the second half, if you recall. And that was where Smith and Vance really were able to disrupt, get them into second and long, and that's where the offense really stalled. I wonder if that's going to work in the same way, given the secondary situation that we have right now. But number two, I wonder if, as you're saying, everyone's sort of looking at how teams are easily getting inside leverage on the secondary. So are you going to be more north and south with your passing game versus east and west? So I think there's a way to protect Underwood, with some safer throws that maybe aren't going to go into the teeth of the strength of a defense on the perimeter, because the composition of the personnel is so different this year.
They got to get to him. The best thing you can do with a young quarterback is get in there, get in his head, and push him around a little bit. But yeah, I'm with you, Jamal. It's just the film's out there now. There's 5 games of film. You can't hide it. If a schlep like me seeing it, there's you got some professional offensive coordinators and analysts out there that are watching what USC, where the holes are at USC. And the good news is I do believe in this defensive staff. I think that it's crazy stuff I heard. Some of the crazy stuff I've heard is that Lynn's a fraud, this and that, blah, blah. You guys are on this roller coaster ride. And I don't blame you. That's why you call your fanatics. You guys are crazy, but you guys got to take a deep breath, and realize that it's a dynamic sport. And you said it best, Jamal. And I think I hit on this as well earlier. You don't just play the secondary, and you don't just play the defensive line. Right. It's a whole unit. And then the linebackers, the dynamics between all three, and how you call the game and how they work together. And then you got a couple guys banged up. So you got a true freshman out there playing nickel. I mean, these kind of things become a nightmare, and they all kind of just build up. And so 2 weeks, they got 2 weeks. They've just got to get it together. Well, guys, it's been about an hour. Good show, you guys. Great show. Thank you to everyone that called in. I don't have my pad here with me, but I do appreciate all the calls. Chris calling. Who do we have? Chris. We had Walt from LA started off. Josh from Dana Point. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting anybody. We had some great calls today. I think going forward, though, you guys, you YouTube people, I'm glad you guys are here. We did get about 30 people to come over from the hundreds that were over on Twitter. But I mean, hey, we're here to build this channel. So I appreciate you guys all being here. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Please do it. I know you hear it everywhere, but it really does help to support the channel. So if you like what we're doing here, that's a great way to repay us. Also, if you make sure you're here, Jamal, you want to talk about your videos? Dropped a video. They can go check out your video after this show's over.
Yeah. I gave an opportunity, a quick 20-minute on just recapping the game and my thoughts of where we're going forward here. Didn't get a chance to be with my bandits here. I call us the Three Stooges of Troy, Tim. I couldn't be part of the party over the weekend, so dropped the video here solo. So if you get jarred that I'm doing a solo video, that's the reason, and go check that out.
And everything we're doing here, Ryan's dropping videos almost every single day. We appreciate everyone being here. I tell you, it's so much fun to meet you guys. This is always my favorite, is being able to do these call-in shows and talk to people. We will be here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and you'll catch us. I don't know what we'll do. Maybe we'll do something for one of the games this week. We might do a live show after one of our opponents. Maybe we could watch.
Maybe we do a live
Michigan
show
football.
after Michigan, Wisconsin. How about that?
Have a little talk about that. Maybe we'll do a live show then. Great conversation with both of you guys. Love seeing you guys as well. Any final words for you, Ryan?
No, thanks to everyone. This is always a blast. It's always Madman and Tim. Thank you, Tim. Thanks for being such a splendid host as always. So, and thanks for all the callers. And yeah, let's keep growing this out. Maybe we'll get a Michigan guest on next week at some point to help us preview the game, whether it's live on the call-in or with the rest of his panel. But we'll get something going for that.
And just a reminder, my favorite calls. I love you Trojans. I do have fun. I love the combative opponents I used to get. We're not getting them yet here on LAFB, but we're gonna get them.
Oh, we did a lot back early Riley years with the Oklahoma fans. Year 2, we got a ton. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, they're busy kind of prepping for the playoff now, so it doesn't sting quite as much.
Yeah.
Well, let's broken hands don't heal that fast. Let's see if they can navigate.
Yeah,
and by the way, Sooner fans, if you are out there, good luck with that schedule. Holy smokes, down the stretch, you guys got a couple games ahead of you. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you all. We'll see. I will see you guys, if not earlier, most likely Saturday. Until then, you guys fight on. Appreciate it.